Hello and welcome to today's presentation, AI Agents in the Wild. I'm John Kreisa, CMO at Semaphore AI, and I'm joined by Jamie Engesser, our field CTO. Jamie, care to say hi?
Looking forward to the day.
Yep, great. So we're super excited to be with you today. Glad you've joined us. And we're going to talk about, as the title says, AI Agents in the Wild. And I'm joined by Jamie because he has tremendous experience working with our customers on how they are deploying real agents in real production use cases. And we'll show you some of those today. Jamie, if you give me a click. So what are we going to talk about? First, I'll just very quickly give you some background on who we are at Semaphore, and then we'll talk about our platform, again, very briefly, and then we're going to jump into what are the common use cases that we're seeing out there that are in production today. And then Jamie will take us through some demos, and we'll talk about finally how the agents are unlocking value at customers. And we'll leave plenty of time at the end for Q&A. Jamie? So firstly, just about Semaphore AI. We are a very experienced team taking and building enterprise software and making it safe for enterprises to consume. And you can see examples of the companies that we bring experience from, SpringSource and Cloudera and Hortonworks, Microsoft, and many others, where we are making an enterprise software or software safe for the enterprise to consume. So we have a proven track record. We've done this at multiple companies, and our mission here is to deliver a premium platform for building, running, and managing enterprise-level AI agents that accelerate adoption of AI. We can help you make the most out of the AI initiatives that you have and help you get agents deployed into the enterprise. Jamie? So let's start with a little perspective in terms of where you might be in terms of the adoption of enterprise AI technologies. So as you see, we've got maturity on the left-hand side and experimentation to business impact on the lower axis. And many of you have already probably started with public LLMs and are using those LLMs. And as you continue to mature, they move through chatbots, DIY frameworks, specialized industry agents, ultimately adopting a strategic platform, establishing a COE around AI, and then getting to AI factory production. But where might you be in this adoption curve? If you give me a click, Jamie, many of you might be here somewhere along that curve, maybe not exactly there, but you've played with chatbots, maybe you've experimented with DIY frameworks, and you're starting to think about specialized industry agents. But you're also stepping back and thinking, what are some of the broader use cases and how do I make sure I take advantage of this in my enterprise? So that's some insight that we'll give you today. So again, a little bit of perspective, like why now? And the imperative really is that your competitors and really the entire market is moving towards adopting enterprise agents. And you can see by this quote from Gartner, by 2028, at least 15% of the day-to-day work decisions will be made autonomously, through agentic AI, up from 0% last year. So there's a tremendous amount of adoption that's happening across the enterprise. And if you don't get started now, you risk being left out from the benefits and advantages that you get from adopting agentic processes. So get going now. Jamie, you want to take them through our platform?
I'd love it. When we think about use cases and how people go deploy use cases, one of the things that first comes up is just who is the people involved and what's the platform look like. Going to give you a quick run through here. When we think about the platform, it's really for the business and process owners, for IT to control it, and then it's really for your consumers to go access it. When we think about those categories, you'll see up here on the top left, the studio environment. That is how a line of business or a process owner goes and builds in our platform. The second piece, actions. A lot of people have heard of MCPs. Actions and MCPs, really, how do we connect to your enterprise systems and give that connectivity that an agent needs to be smart, to be intelligent? So that's really the actions layer. Control room, where it lands with IT to let them control the deployment, the access, all of the privileges and rights. That includes revisions, etc., of the agent. And then the workroom. Workroom is where a business user will come in and do work. So that's where they'll end up, interact, and do work with the environment. This is all done on top of the agent orchestration layer. There's a set of data and document intelligence layer that includes data frames, a semantic data model, a knowledge base, etc. And then all of that resides on top of a security and governance layer that makes sure the agent's doing the right things for you. So really exposing out the right things. That all sits on top of your common LLMs. So whether it's Anthropic, whether it's OpenAI, whether it's Gemini, those are different LLMs you can use in the platform, and then the cloud platforms out there, AWS and Snowpark container services within Snowflake. And then your enterprise apps are where we integrate to and talk to. So this is the holistic platform that really lets us drive out those new use cases. With that, John, why don't I hand it back?
Thanks, Jamie. So on top of that platform, what you can do is you can build agents for a wide variety of use cases, and it allows you to automate that work. And you can see from this example that there are many different domains and areas across the enterprise that agents apply, whether it's front office or back office. You build those agents, and as it says on the right, they're defined in English, so easy to use for the process owner to create that agent. You define the work that needs to be done, the actions, the guardrails, and the expected outcomes. And then that agent is able to go and do the work for you autonomously. So this allows for enterprises to take a single platform approach and build those agents to address a very wide array of use cases. Jamie?
Love it. So when we're thinking about use cases and where Semaphore excels in the use case scenario, it really excels where there's a high business value, potentially less number of use cases. We're not asking every random act of intelligence, every question out there. We're not trying to go down this long tail of use cases. It's really what we're saying is where there's high value, where there's a lot of investment, where there's complex work, where I have to integrate both data, documents, and complex intelligence. Those are the areas that we really spend our time on. That's frankly the reason why a lot of people are still doing this work and AI is historically not taking it over, is because it's complex, intelligent work. Typically multi-step, there's a financial accuracy measure to it, and it's a multi-step across data sources and apps. The last area I would highlight in this is a high level of control. I want to be able to evaluate the framework. I want to be able to validate that it works well and ends up in the right scenario. So that's really where we spend our time and really where we spend our effort. John?
So that's great. So let's double click into what are some of the specific use cases that we see. And what we've got now is with this platform, you can build agents for a wide range of use cases. And as I said, front office, back office, and we're going to see some real life examples here in just a second. So firstly, for example, operational monitoring safety, numerous use cases that are in deployment out there that we see across many different organizations, across many different agencies, procurement and vendor management, compliance and risk management. We can go on in terms of the number of use cases, but these really are the kinds of agents that we see deployed in the enterprise being used in production. And of course, I know that's why you joined and what you want to hear more about. So let me turn it over to Jamie to double click further into real life use cases.
Let's hit our first one, John. One of the most common that we see out there is a help desk type of scenario. I'm going to walk you through another live one here in a second, but I just want to give you some kind of outputs that we've seen. Very large manufacturer, one of the biggest companies in the world from a private sector perspective. One of their challenges is they have an AP help desk. They currently have that coming through ServiceNow, and that comes in and does work. The problem they had is they couldn't put intelligence to it. They needed a few things. So number one is that ticket comes through, that email comes through. They need to parse it out and say, hey, what invoices was this person asking about? What accounts payable were they asking about? Then they need to go look up each one of those accounts, see the status of those, and reply back with it. Really interesting. We've actually, I've got on this slide 150 tickets. It's actually up to about 230 tickets a day that we're responding to. Every single ticket comes in a variety. It's an email. So it's anything that could come in email. Represents lots of different invoices that they're asking about, and it needs to respond with really accurate information. So pulls from, in this case, the Snowflake database, responds back. This moved them from doing this with 5 to 6 people, as many as 10 people, given times of the month, down to near immediate response time across all of their different tickets. So really, really compelling use case, brings tons of value to that user. You'll see it when I walk through some live demos. A second one, invoice reconciliation. Invoice reconciliation is one where if you look at invoices, these are very complex invoices. So they're in the 50 to 100 page type scenario. They take anywhere from 4 to 8 hours. Some of these take as much as 1 week to just reconcile one invoice because it represents the flow through given pipelines. What the outcome of this is, they're able to do what was done in a week with these complex invoices in as little as 5 minutes and work through that process of extracting, processing, and then correlating back. And that includes some of the interaction for the problem ones where they have to interact with the counterparties. So super interesting, high value use case. Third one, RFQ. One of the things we frequently see is the request for quote process or the procurement process in organizations is challenging. We've all wanted a new laptop. We've all wanted a different component, and it potentially can take a long time. So number one, finding the right suppliers, who can deliver on time, what's the set of steps to get that done, ultimately getting contracting done, and then going all the way through for procurement. One of the things we've done is automate that process for them. So individual end user can go say, I want X, will automatically come into the system. We will target the current suppliers as well as potential suppliers for this, aggregate them into a list, do a scan of the background of those, profile them, and get the RFQ ready to be sent out for that customer. So kind of end-to-end high value use case, really helping the line of business get to answers faster. With those use cases, let me go ahead and jump in and show you some more. Where we're looking at right now is Semaphore Studio. You can grab it at the end here. You can go download it from our website. I'm going to show you everything from here. I could also be showing you from Workroom, but I just thought I'd show it from Studio because it's what everybody can do today. So with that, a couple things you're going to notice in Studio. So on the left-hand side is kind of all my core controls, a couple of key things even John highlighted, conversational and worker agents over here. So we can go do that work. A couple of other things. We come with a set of templates. We can build your own, or you can build with Sai. If I want to jump in and build with Sai, Sai is AI, to build agents. So it walks us through what would you like to do? What agent would you like? Asks us all that structured questions to ultimately build it for you. I'm going to go ahead and cancel out and just show you some examples of agents that are out there. When I go look on the left here, you see this conversational and worker. When I go into the conversational, I'm just going to jump into one quick here. So we'll jump into the first one. This is a customer support scenario, and it's airline customer support. So it's an example of walking through that process. A couple of things I'm going to highlight. Whenever, with any of our agents, we build what's called runbooks. So if I come in here, the runbook defines the way the agent is done. What are the capabilities of the agents? What is the work to be done with that agent as it flows through? And it's human readable. So the intent is the process owner knows this and can do this. So, and then we've got some helpers here that I'll skip over for now. Additionally, things like databases. So in this case, this one's accessing Postgres databases. It's accessing a knowledge base. It's sending Google email out as well. Other things that I'll highlight in here, OpenAI. In this case, we're using O3 low reasoning. I could be using 5 or 5.1, and all those are editable to me here. So when I come in and look, I've got the ability to move to 5 low, 5 medium, so I can choose whichever model I want to choose. This is also where I pick my actions for the different agents that are out there. And then the set of data sources that are here for me. Let's go ahead and discard this for now. And I'm going to come in and just show you this agent. So in this case, this agent answers questions around airlines. So show me any claims for flight number 430. So we can see we had one claim in this one. If I wanted to go through here, and let me scroll to the top to kind of give you some more perspective. So as an example, what's the status of flight AA101? Then if we look at this, it comes through. Are there any claims for my royalty number? My loyalty number here, which as you can see is an example. And then what is the status of the claim, et cetera. So this is a way to interact. 3 things in this one. It's accessing their knowledge base, accessing their core database, and it's responding to their customers in real time, directly all the way from email or or through an online chat. So one example of a customer support agent. Let me jump down and give you a extreme other example. We all hear about the investment in the financial services industry and specifically in AI industry with private equity firms. One of the things that private equity firms do all the time is capital call and capital call management. If you think about what a capital call is, it's, hey, you committed to making a funding, give us the funding now. So this is, how do we get started? We give it the sample capital call letter. From there, it goes out and reads that capital call, validates against the run book, grabs the data from it, and does a whole bunch of stuff for me. So in this case, it's actually reading that text using our doc intelligence layer. It's creating a workbook because they want all of their capital calls to be written to Excel. It's adding a sheet, adding the details of it, and then it's creating the draft of the capital call thing to send out to all of the others. So in this case, we can see the fund, we can see the capital call summary with all the details here, and then we can see the payment instructions. So where they need to be paid. And then the last thing is a completion of the action. So PDF, data storage, email draft, and then a full preview of the email that's going out. And then I can say, yes, go ahead and send it. And in this case, as an example, I sent it to myself, and it's showing me kind of everything that happened with this agent. So all of that work was done in the background, kind of end to end to help make it easier. So the complete process, all the way from reading the original request for capital call all the way through to sending the emails out to get the capital call. And noticing it's asking me what I like to track the responses coming back. So another great example of end-to-end with financial services and specifically private equity. Let me give you a different kind of example. One of the things we find is people are busy. And when I say busy in this case, cybersecurity teams tend to be overtaxed. One of our customers, great example, they have a challenge where Entra ID is their core audit. So think I'm logging into Microsoft, that is Entra ID. One of the challenges they have is they have so many things going on at their SOC right now, or their security operations center, that they don't have time to go look at silly, in their opinion, lower priority risks like Entra ID audit logs. Those audit logs, though, have total number of attempts, total of attempts from different locations, total attempts from different locations that have failed the MFA, which tends to indicate potentially malicious behavior. In this case, this walks them through that end to end. So first thing it does is it goes out, gets the login attempts, does data frames to slice up this data, gives us that feedback. And now I can say, okay, I've got all the attempts. If I want to in here, we can use our conversation guide to say, hey, give me any attempt that's higher than 3 logins. Now that will go through, it will process it, it will validate which ones we should be concerned with. Based on that, it will give me back the summary. And in their case, they publish that out to Microsoft Teams, and the Teams security officers will reset the passwords on those accounts automatically. So this is a good example of something that can be happening in the background and just processing through cyber threat detection and doing some of the low-hanging fruit that just doesn't get done because your SOC teams are busy. Let me jump in and show you another one while that's happening here. And I can show you the details if you ever want to see. We can see what's happening at every step of the way and all the logic that's executing through as we go through every step of the way. Invoice processing, what every organization has to do. In this case, you can see we got our database, we got Excel, we got PDF, all as a set of actions this agent can do. I'm going to go ahead and scroll up to the top and just show you an end-to-end example. So what this does is it picks up as an email sent in, invoice XYZ. We can see the invoices have come in. In this case, there was 2 invoices associated with this one. It goes out and reads those 2 invoices end to end. It validates them. We can kind of scroll through to see all the, et cetera. And then it says, hey, there's no errors encountered. Now with this, I want to audit this by pushing it out to a workbook, and I want to upload that file. Last thing I want to do is update into our core line of business database, update that sheet, upload the file, and then it pushes it all the way into the database, extracting those numbers, and ultimately proceeds through the entire life cycle to processing those 2 invoices end to end. These are examples of things where I'm showing you it in conversational mode. They're less fun to show when it's fully automated in the background because you just can't see and interact with it. But think of this as this is something that fully interacts in the background. It does this process day in, day out for a lot of our customers, end to end. And you can see kind of every step of the way. I'm going to hit two more that I think are pretty interesting. The next one is procurement. And fundamentally, that procurement scenario, and I'm going to scroll to the top here. This is an example where if you wanted to do something, so say I need help finding 5 electric standing office desks to be delivered to that zip code within 2 weeks. That's a standard request. Hey, I need this procured. Please go do this work. The procurement team goes off and does work. So you can see that request here. Is what this is going to do is it's going to go look at and aggregate all the information. So it's going to get all the details. It's going to find me all of the verified suppliers. Plus, if I want to, it can do web research and get all the online as well. Once it gets those, pulls those all in, it drags this all together, normalizes it, merges it in, and says, hey, here's the top 5 that we think are good. Vari, Uplift Desk, Atlanta office, you name it. And then it gives me options where I can go say for the top 5, let's go move to ranking these. Gives me all the rankings. I can say put that into a table so I can see the different scoring and ranking for these. I could now interact back to say, does this work or not? And ultimately, it's going to create the short list for me. And it's even going to go to the level of sending out the RFQs. And here's all the example emails that this is generating and able to send out to go do the heavy lift for you on that procurement use case. Now, in this case, we actually take the inbound receipts, rank them, and then process through. But just a really good example of kind of an end-to-end. The last one I'm going to hit you is a classic example of a pure worker agent. So all this does is it takes what was an original sales order, and 5 years later for that sales order, in this case, it's a mechanical part that needs to be rebuilt every 5 years. So the customer says, hey, for my sales order 1, 2, 3, I always need the replacement bill of materials for all the parts in that so I can rebuild it every 5 years to keep my factory working. So in this case, the spare parts for the original sales order is that. And in this case, we can come in here and you're going to see everything happen to the point where for that, I sent them back the replacement spare parts list. And that replacement spare parts list is the list of all the parts they need. Let's look at what happened fully automated. So in this case, we logged into SAP. We got the sales order detail. We checked for parts obsolescence on the original sales order and others. We identified the spare parts kits. We consolidated those parts list. We generated that parts list Excel spreadsheet that they need to give back to the salesperson or the customer. And then we gave them that link and attached that to it. So end to end, we could have just replied back with that. They have a team of people that spend all day going and responding to the inbound inquiries from their customers, mitigates all of that. With that, hopefully I talked fast enough. We went through kind of 6 different key use cases that we're seeing out in the real world that are truly impacting kind of the value of what people get out of agentic platforms. We think that's really, really important. With that, John, let me hand back to you.
Thanks, Jamie. That was great. Seeing real world examples, a breadth of examples as well that are agents really in the wild. So that was great. Thank you. One final slide here, and then we'll go to Q&A. Just a little bit on how does Semaphore help unlock the value that you're going to get out of AI. Now, one of those things is we allow you to focus and create sustainable competitive advantage. We can help you automate through agents your specific workflow and processes, your best practices that can accelerate the way your business is operating. So it really allows you to build proprietary intelligent capabilities that are continuously learning and adapting and tuning the AI investments that you've made. So we can take that AI from an experiment, which you might be on the left-hand side of that maturity curve, and move it into production and really start to get the value out of that investments that you've made. We also help you leverage the AI infrastructure that you have. We're agnostic, and you can use virtually any of the common, popular open source models that you would use, not open source, but common models that you'd use out there, and you can leverage the value of that LLM infrastructure fully. We also empower that business process owner to be the driver, the person who has the best knowledge of the thing that you want to agentify or to automate. We enable them through the power of runbooks, through the studio, that Jamie did such a great job of demoing to enable them to create that agent and be the person who takes that best practice and encodes it and helps accelerate the business. And then finally, as Jamie showed, those are agents that really get work done. They can read and write documents, read and write from databases, take actions, reason across complex workloads, complex multi-step workloads, and actually get work done. And we saw a great set of examples on putting those agents to work. So really agents that can get work done both autonomously and through user interaction to help leverage and make be a right hand to a worker and help them be more productive. So whichever way makes sense for you, we can help you get the real value out of AI. And with that, I think we're going to move to Q&A. So while you get your questions together, we'll put up a slide that has some next steps and actions. Think about those. Think about what those questions are, and then Jamie and I will be here to take the questions.